And coming up this afternoon, main opposition New Patriotic Party grants amnesty to all its members who were suspended, as well as those whose disciplinary cases are pending. Also in the bulletin, police in search of armed robbers who raided a gold shop in Mpoho, escaping with cash and gold. We have details on that shortly as well. The bulletin is live on DSTV channel 279. Welcome to the program. We begin the bulletin from here. The main opposition New Patriotic Party has granted amnesty to all its members who were suspended, as well as those whose disciplinary cases are pending. This is contained in a press release dated August 16, 2025, and signed by Acting National Chairman Dankwa Smith Bute. According to the statement, the National Council took the decision at its emergency meeting held on Friday, July 25, 2025. The statement added that the move is in the interest of unity and reconciliation. The statement noted that this directive lifts all such suspensions and waives any ongoing proceedings against affected members. Members who have fortified their membership have been asked to submit a formal application to the National Secretariat for reinstatement. The statement further added that this measure reflects the party's unwavering commitment to fostering internal cohesion, strengthening solidarity, and preparing collectively for the political tasks ahead. Right, at this point, we will be going on Zoom, and Solomon is a spokesperson of the Movement for Change. Solomon, many thanks for your time. First of all, we know that you resigned from the NPP on the 25th of September 2023 and became a key member of the Movement for Change led by Alan Chermanting. Does this amnesty also apply to you as well?
Well, good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Yes, it's supposed to apply to me, but I don't see what as a party, the New Patriotic Party, is doing to bring members back. I mean, this is one of the most insincere releases that I have ever witnessed in recent times. If I would be allowed, let me give you a background as to why they hurriedly had to organize this press release on the 16th of August 2025, that is yesterday. I mean, Mr. Alan Chermanting had done an interview which was to be aired on Saturday. And in that interview, we started sharing some of the assets of it. So the party got wind of the fact that there was a question that contained the future political aspiration of Mr. Alan Chermanting.
Right.
So through the NPP's own ingenuity, they got through the back door. They got to know that Mr. Alan Chermanting had declared that he would take part in election 2028 using a different vehicle. And so what did the party decide to do? Quickly put up a message just to sway the minds of the teeming support base of Mr. Alan Chermanting to, as it were, go back to the New Patriotic Party. That is all to it. It is not genuine. It is not sincere. If you read the second stanza or the second paragraph of their own letter, if it is from you, you would realize that they claim an emergency meeting was held on the 25th of July 2025. Is that not the case? Emergency meetings are conducted to discuss emergency matters. And when those emergency matters are discussed and decisions are taken, it is immediately released. How on earth would you go and organize an emergency meeting on the 25th of July 2025 and wait 23 days after that before you release the outcome of that meeting? It tells you how insincere they are, and that it was only because of the interview that was granted by Mr. Alan Chermanting on Panagino's TV that he declared boldly that he will be taking part in election 2028, and that is why they have come out with this release. Again, if you read the release carefully, all that they are saying is that Alan Chermanting and his members must return back to the NPP, but should only come and be partakers. Just come and sit on the fence, because
Right. Unfortunately, we've lost Solomon Owusu there, who is a spokesperson of the Movement for Change political party, but we'll definitely do well to reconnect with him subsequently in our bulletins when we get the proper networking as well. But we move away from that story. The acting Chief Justice of Ghana, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny, has announced that he will be out of the country from Monday, August 18 to Thursday, August 28, 2025. In a circular dated August 13, 2025, Justice Bafo-Bonny stated that during his absence from the most senior justice of the Supreme Court, His Lordship Justice Gabriel Palmang will serve as acting Chief Justice. The notice distributed to all justices of the Supreme Court of Appeal, High Court and heads of judicial divisions and units was also copied to members of the Judicial Council, the General Legal Council and the Acting Judicial Secretary as well. Justice Bafo-Bonny, who assumed the role of Acting Chief Justice following the suspension of the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokuno, extended his compliments in the official communication. We shift our focus now to other important stories. A Thanksgiving service has been held for the late Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omane Boama, and Wing Commander Peter Anala, who died in August 6 in a helicopter crash. The service was held at Christ the King, and here is a story by my colleague, Stanley Nibleo, who is actually there covering the program, and he's joining me live on Zoom for a conversation. Stanley, thank you so much for your time. Can you tell us what is happening at the moment and who are in attendance?
Okay, so so I must start by saying that following the successful burial ceremony that was held for the 8 people that actually perished in the helicopter crash, today families, relatives, friends, and the entire Christ the King congregation have held a Thanksgiving service in honor of and then the squadron leader, Peter Anala. But I must also say that the family of Mr. Omane Boama, or Honorable Omane Boama, are here to render appreciation to God, because in their view or in their mind, they feel that God is the one that provides, or God gives, and then he also takes. And so whatever happens, they have to come to his presence to render praise or thanksgiving to the Maker, because he created them and he has taken them to go and rest in eternity. And so that is one leg of the conversation. And the other leg is that they're also here to thank the state for the contribution, because these gallant people that actually perished died in line of duty. And so they also here to thank the state for the contribution and the manner in which they actually help the families to lay their loved ones to rest. I must also say that a lot of party supporters, the NDC party supporters and government officials, including the president himself, is in attendance. We know that the president is a member of the Assemblies of God Church, but today he did not attend his church. He has joined the Christ the King Parish congregation to actually organize or put together this Thanksgiving service for the fallen heroes. And so they're in attendance also, apart from the president who is in attendance, we also have the vice president, Nana Jeno Poku-Ajiman. We also have the president's wife, Lordina Mahama. In attendance also are the chief of staff and the deputy. We also have the health minister and a host of the NDC supporters, or NDC party members, the big wigs, of course, here to grace the occasion to say a big thank you to God Almighty for what he has done so far. This morning, the service, the mass was led by the parish priest, Reverend Father Dr. Ebenezer Akese. He is the parish priest for the Christ the King Church. And in his sermon, he made mention that it is very difficult when people lose or lost their loved ones, especially the immediate family that the deceased actually comes from. And so he believes that even though it is very painful that they've lost loved ones, going forward, he believes that during the resurrection day, when Jesus Christ descends from the crowds and then appears on earth for the last days, the deceased or the departed ones are going to also be resurrected so that they will meet once again. However, the president, we are hoping that the president will also say something, but the church or the mass is gradually coming to a close, and we've not heard anything from the president yet. So we are here hoping that he will also say something, since this is a farewell or a Thanksgiving service for two of the departed heroes.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Stanley Nibleo, bringing us details on the Thanksgiving service at the Christ the King Church, where they are trying to, finalize everything as far as the death of the Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omane Boama, together with Wing Commander Anala is concerned. And generally, you've heard him talk about the fact that the president has been in attendance together with other party members as well, trying to ensure that everything is being done well and also finalized in a respectful manner. But away from that, a brazen robbery shook Mpoho in the Western region on August 15, 2016, 2025, as armed robbers targeted a gold shop around 7 p.m., escaping with gold and a significant amount of cash. The incident has left the community in shock. A group of armed men broke into the Ocheso Nyame gold buying shop along Mpoho New Road, making away with a huge amount of money and gold. The attack left some individuals with gunshot injuries. They are currently receiving treatment at the Mpoho District Hospital, we are told. Police have retrieved CCTV footage of the incident and have launched investigations into the situation. They have appealed to the public to provide any information that could help identify the suspects. We are trusting the police to bring these perpetrators to book as soon as possible. The recent confrontation at the Bontresso between the IGP's task force and resident has brought to the fore the urgent need for them to drastically tackle illegal mining, coming in the wake of the death of the 8 Ghanaians in a helicopter crash en route to launch one of the government anti-Galamsey program. Pressure is mounting on government to act decisively and urgently to address the menace. That was the IGP Special Anti-Galamsey Task Force operating, which came under severe attack by a group of illegal miners at Bontresso. Convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Kenneth Ashigbe, speaking on the key points, called for the dismissal of the district chief executive for the area.
So this particular DC, for example, immediately the president should be firing him for incompetence, because even you agree that this DC says that they were stand winning, stand winning without a permit. Ask them whether they have an EPA permit and all the permits, and then he goes on to clear them and does not see that a police officer had been attacked. That person should, after you've dismissed him, we should immediately get some, investigations into it to find out complicity. This is where the FICs and co would have to come in and look into the monies that are coming to himself and people who are connected to him.
Former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Emmanuel Bombade says urgent action must be taken to tackle the menace and avert situations similar to those in neighboring West African countries where illegal mining activities helped fuel civil wars.
If you look at the spread of violent extremism and terrorism in our neighboring countries in the Sahel, the routes that these terrorists took, it is not by coincidence that they also went through mining, illegal mining resources. Because that is where they were able to have access to the money to recruit more people. And the more they are able to recruit, the more they are able to confront the state. And so my proposition is, whereas the operational level is important, and even at the operational level, the experts need to redraw their strategy.
The former executive director of the West Africa Network for Peace Building, Emmanuel Bombade, also supported calls for the regular reshuffling of security chiefs in mining-prone areas.
If you have a police commander in a district for a very long time, under the circumstances of Galamsey, it doesn't matter how that police officer is, you should be prepared that that police officer is going to be compromised. So even at the operational level, you want to recycle and recycle very frequently and be more robust and be more frontal and be more forward-looking in terms of sustaining the fight and not just having people there because they are fighting Galamsey.
Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bento, stressed that the fight against illegal mining must also target the so-called kingpins behind the operations.
For the past 2 decades, 20 years more or less, we've been stirring this thing and playing fiddles with it.
Right.
All right? Which is why I'm saying we are pretending to be fighting Galamsey. Who does not know that politicians in this country are benefiting from Galamsey? Who does not know that DCs are involved in Galamsey? Who does not know that the security services are complicit? At the highest levels, when we catch people who are doing Galamsey, we just say we'll deport them. And the policy of this government or so has been articulated to the extent that when we catch them, we won't prosecute them, we'll just send them away. If we have serious national intelligence or what they call national security, they should be swarming in those areas, identifying the kingpins, and making sure we are dealing with them decisively.
Security expert and retired military officer Colonel Festus Abuaje called for stronger investment in intelligence gathering and harsher penalties, including jailing foreign nationals involved in the illegal trade.
The aim, which is I call the main effort of the government or the state, must not be to go and arrest those foot soldiers. Let us deploy resources, intelligence, political will, organized task forces from outside of areas and send them in to take out the heavy equipment.
Right.
If needs be, let us buy back some of the caterpillars that are, over and beyond what we need. And not deport, jail all foreigners without exception.
Illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, continues to devastate the country's forests, farms and water bodies despite the fact that government is taking action to tackle the menace. Civil society organizations, CSOs, continue to press on the government to declare a state of emergency in areas affected by Galamsey, but government has yet to heed to that call. With the loss of 8 distinguished Ghanaians in a helicopter crash en route to a national assignment to tackle illegal mining, it is hoped that government will seize this moment to decisively clamp down on the menace. Still on the fight against illegal mining, Chief Operating Officer of the Forestry Commission, Valerie Fume Nasa, has called on churches to take keen interest in the fight.
According to the head of operations at the Forestry Commission, the church should be able to create alternative means of livelihoods for the youth to prevent them from going into illegal mining.
We need the entire country to be on board. Unemployment is one of the major issues. So we are asking the church if they can create employment opportunities for the youth in the church so that they will be distracted from these areas. Because if they don't have anything to do, they are tempted to do that, although it is illegal. So the church should help us in creating job opportunities for the youth. And
illegal mining has caused serious devastation to the environment. Several forest belts have been ripped apart, a situation she describes as worrying.
Most of our rivers, the sources come from our forest reserves. So when you destroy these forest reserves, we are destroying the sources of our river, of our river bodies. People pollute them by mining, and then people put chemicals in the rivers to fish. People block the rivers and put up their buildings. If you are Christian and you do that, it is not appropriate.
You're still tuned in to Weekend Central live here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asidewa. We are going for a very fast break, but when we return, we'll be talking about snakes and how they aid in the ecosystem as well. Stay with us.
When we come together, generations connect through love and legacy. In the present stillness, we see echoes of the past and enduring strength, founded on Galamsey's unwavering commitment. From generation to generation, Galamsey has been a cornerstone in shaping our nation's future.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back to Weekend Central. My name is Gordon Sideba. Let's do more stories. Understanding the importance of snakes in the ecosystem, respecting their space, and taking precautions to avoid encounters, especially in areas where venomous snakes are present, has been identified as key ways of protecting the existence of snakes. Snakes play a vital role in the ecosystem by controlling rodent populations and serving as prey for other animals. My colleague Christopher Amwako monitored a training workshop on methods to safe snake handling techniques for 20 personnel of the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission at the Mole National Park and joins us on Zoom for a conversation. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us here on Zoom. First of all, we know that snakes are dangerous reptiles, but how will this training help us understand how important it is for us to safeguard them and protect them while we're also safe as well?
Yeah, so basically this training is for personnel from the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission. Now, the basis for this training is because a lot of people visit the various forest reserves in the country, some for tourist purposes, And so when they go there and these snakes come, they find it difficult to live in the park and also, as it were, observe nature. And so they have been taken through this training to ensure that when they see the snakes, they do not, as it were, try to kill them or try to harm them, but to find a way of letting them go into the forest, because you cannot kill all the snakes in the forest, but you have to protect the people who come to the forest. And so they have been taking through series of training as to how to handle these snakes. Marvelously, I saw how a snake was caught in the forest without even harming anybody, played with and released back into the forest. According to some of the experts, snakes tend to bite human beings because when human beings see them, they try in a way to also scare or harm them. And so the best way to attack is to defend. And so that is why sometimes we see that snakes bite people. But if you see a snake without harming it or without trying to cause some fear into it, it will also not harm you. And so that was the basis for the training. Let's take a listen to what the trainers have been telling the people at the Mole National Park.
There are a lot of issues around rescuing snakes as well, where going and trying to handle a snake is the most dangerous thing you could do. So just understanding that, I think that what the park will probably get out of this, I would hope, and the other parks in attendance, is that many times doing nothing is just fine. These are just animals being in nature. So a more judicious approach to when human intervention is actually needed, and shifting from fear and mythology to respect. Respect is fine, respecting these animals and that they can be dangerous. A few of them can be dangerous.
Right, Christopher, I'm sure a typical local Ghanaian would sit at home and say, no, I don't agree with this. But what has been the reaction of some of the people who participated in this training?
Okay, so what they are saying is that before that training, they were part of those that were scared of snakes. But having to go with a team into the forest and catching live snakes to use in the practical aspect of the work is something that they've come to understand, that snakes are really not harmful. They are only harmful to us because we tend to attack or try to harm them. That is why they also tend to harm us in return. And so they are expressing some sort of optimism that our forest reserves, the snakes will be safe to support the existence of the ecosystem. Let's take a listen to what one of them has to say.
My perception about snakes have really changed. I've come to realize after this training that snakes are indeed harmless, and they are very interesting and very important animals that we should try and live in harmony with. The message I have for people out there is that when you see a snake, just leave it. Don't try to attack it or harm it. They don't want to bite us, they don't want to harm us, but they strike when they feel threatened or they feel danger that you want to attack. As soon as you don't attack and you leave them, they will go their way. So let's leave them so that the ecosystem will be balanced. We need them because they are very important, they play important role, and then they are the middle of food chain or food web. So we need them to live with. Let's make our minds that they are part of our lives, and then we should be ready to live in harmony.
Right, Christopher, clearly you have sat through the training, and let's say you just go home now and you see a snake in your room. What will be the next action?
Okay, so if I don't scare or try to harm the snake will also feel comfortable in my room.
So what would you do?
So it's perception that a snake will attack me. So I will just try to, as it were, take the snake away from my room.
I don't trust you. Christopher Amwako is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Thank you so much for those details. And just as you've seen it there, snakes that, help in protecting the ecosystem, a reason why we should protect them as well. Not just snakes, including other animals, but we delve into that deeply in subsequent bulletins. Let's do more stories. Fish processing is the livelihood of Elmina, with salting, frying and freezing among other methods of preserving the fish. However, smoking is by far the most common, with nearly 75% of the domestic fish catch smoked. Aside the danger, the market could be a breeding ground for bacteria, and yet it continues to sell. Here's a story.
Sometimes, omo basana na na ma bakesia. Dana ye betumi di na mleku na ebi ni mo sa. Se ba ni sa di say dey rubber esafo. Na ye na mlu bukusu. What the two forms sa na. Enam no obe ye ni pobe cleaning. Obe you switch ni dey good so. It's as James be ebe wo mi dia.
What the baby 4 million? If you show 3 million, if you show 5 million, and then we bring a wabe. What the blog and what the cook, who go boxing to see how we use the bag. So we butcher our whole fine, our watch, and some what I want to work. What I did, but then I'll come in your heart. The other you do grad the power, you do grad. And young folk won't go for one hand. Now, what you from bad and see the grad, not a way we went to butcher trap. Who go from the real far? Support you the kita home. Nah, I wash and fine. But the support kita home for man. The film we have away from our son.
The Municipal Fisheries Director for Commander Edina Egwafu Ebrim, Stephen Asempa, is fully aware of the unhealthy practices in the fish trade.
It is very dangerous. It's one thing that we are consuming. And whatever you consume should be hygienic. So if it is not hygienic, then it means it will be against your health. Yeah. And fisheries, we have initiated this scheme, Safe Fish Certification. Through that, we inspect every processing kitchen. So we have a scheme which has the indicators on the things that you need to practice in your kitchen. And then we are giving them training, the processes. We are giving them training on how to handle fish, on fish handling. Yeah. So we are doing a lot. So we give them certificate. At the end of the day, we give them certificate. You are doing the right thing. We give you certificate, which certifies you that you can sell at the market.
Rebecca Mensah has been smoking fish for over a decade. Fish smoking is central to the local economy, yet the methods are dangerous. Fish smoking is a staple of the industry here, but it comes with its risks. According to a statement from the International Association of Fish Inspectors, consumers in West Africa are exposed to polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH, a harmful chemical at levels far above what's considered safe. Due to this, many countries in the European Union reject smoked fish from Africa. Studies link high exposure to PAHs, which increase risks of cancer and other serious health issues. Ghana consumes an estimated 720,000 metric tons of fish annually, and the fisheries sector contributes 4.5% to the country's GDP. Women like Ekua, Naomi and Rebecca are vital to this economy. Yet the need for improved hygiene is more pressing than ever. Since 2021, over 3,500 fisherfolk have been trained on hygienic handling and entrepreneurship. Through these initiatives, we hope to see a future where Ghana's fish is not only a source of income, but also a product that meets safety standards for consumers at home and abroad. By promoting best practices in fish handling, the Safe Fish Scheme aims to improve the quality of fish consumed across Ghana, protecting both the industry and the health of its people. Godwin Asideba, TV3, Central Region.
Time now for Regional Hub. We head to the Bono region, where poultry farmers in the region are sounding the alarm as their businesses teeter on the brink of collapse. A crippling oversupply of eggs, plummeting prices and mounting debts have left the industry in crisis. Claude Kumi Ebisa reports that farmers in Doma are calling for urgent government intervention to save what is a vital economic lifeline for the region.
The Bono region is the heartbeat of Ghana's poultry production, home to over 300 registered farms and employing hundreds of youth. This region alone produces half of the country's poultry products, but today the industry is in free fall. Samuel Komla Foley is a poultry farmer at Kweku Bedukrom in the Doma municipality. He attributes the current challenges to unprecedented glut in egg production.
It's serious, my brother. It's serious. A time came, most people eggs got rotten. Because you cannot, you know what happens here? You have to give the eggs to the women. They will go and sell before they come and pay you. If you want cash, you will not get. Unless unless there's a peak, a period where the eggs is not there. It's only then that people can come and bring cash. So if you don't release it, all your investment will go, because you cannot get market for the eggs. So the eggs glut, so I don't know. Almost all the regions now are producing eggs. It has been a serious issue, and it's still, because we have not out of the woods yet.
Matthew Frimpong Kwedu, administrative manager at GI Nyame Ayewie Ampa Company Limited, urges government and stakeholders to help poultry farmers in the country with incentives and loans to sustain their operations.
There are empty pens around where you don't have any, they are virtually empty, nothing is inside. We are only waiting that if tomorrow we will get money, and then we can expand. Any poultry farmer in Doma here will say that the main challenge is finance. The banks are not willing to give you the required amount that you want, and that's the main challenge. So my appeal to the government and the stakeholders in the poultry sector is that they should make funds available so that we can access it, not even grant, loans with low interest rate, so that we can take it, expand the business, employ more people.
In a bid to salvage the sector, the Doma Business Resources Center, alongside the Poultry Farmers Association and Municipal Assembly, recently held a crisis clinic to strategize solutions. Daniel Senachome is the Doma Municipal Business Resource Center manager.
The clinic's purpose is to reactivate the Poultry Association in Doma, to stand firm and to be able to push for her to let the industry move forward. So as part of our measures, we are looking at creating a very good database for the Farmers Association. This database will enable us to speak with figures. When we see anyone, we are talking before investors, we can speak with figures to bring investors down here. Additionally, we are also looking at the marketing side of the products.
Municipal Chief Executive for Doma Central, Dominic Adoma Ameyaw, added his voice to the call for the poultry sector revitalization, including partnerships for exports and input subsidies.
What requires most is the enabling environment, and at least subsidizing some of the duties, like the importation of the maize, the soya, and so on and so forth. This we are ready to do to help, provided they also liaise with us and let us get the data of their production, the data of their capacity, the data of the problems, the data of the disease, the data of the idle birds, even the droppings. They should let us get the data so that based on the data, we also know how to help them. I will say plans are far advanced, but we are ever ready to help them.
Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Doma.
We now move to Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region, where more than 1,000 flood victims are still waiting for relief. Despite the devastating impact of the June 14 and 15 floods, the National Disaster Management Organization's office in the metropolis has been found to be empty with no relief supplies on hand. Irama Smith has more.
About 1,700 victims of the June floods in Sekondi Takoradi are yet to receive relief items due to a shocking revelation that the NADMO office inherited was empty with no supplies. Metro NADMO Director Alhaji Abubakar Kamal says he inherited an empty store.
The flooding situation that occurred on the 14th and 15th of June 2025, at that time I have assumed office as the director. It affected over 1,700 people within this metropolis. NADMO, we have conducted our assessment and we have a very, very documented report as I speak in my office concerning that flooding situations. We've also taken notice of the causes of those flooding and we have mapped up strategies that we're going to do that we're going to work with to mitigate those situations. Unfortunately, we cannot get relief items for the victims, that is us in the over 1,700 people, because I took over an office that is so empty. But of course, the current administration is working assiduously to ensure that its resources not move.
Meanwhile, the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly has inaugurated a 15-member Metropolitan Disaster Management Committee chaired by Mayor Frederick Faustinus Feidu. He has urged the members to take ownership of their roles, emphasizing that disaster resilience begins at the grassroots level.
The Sekondi Takoradi Metropolis, being a coastal and industrial hub, faces multiple hazards from flooding, tidal waves and fire outbreaks to industrial accidents and public health emergencies. The vulnerabilities in our communities require a proactive and coordinated approach. This committee is therefore not merely an administrative structure, but a vital mechanism for saving lives, protecting livelihoods, and safeguarding infrastructure. Our task is to ensure that no disaster catches us unprepared and that our interventions are timely, efficient, and inclusive.
The Western Regional NADMO Director, Darlington Atito, has also urged the committee to shift from the conventional approach of providing relief items after disasters and rather conduct proactive research on disaster-prone areas to enable more effective preparedness and mitigation measures.
Thinks that NADMO has only to do with relief items to various disaster events. It is not like that. But to be advanced ahead of what we do not anticipate to happen. But when it did happen, what happened next? That is the core mandate of the committee, to do research in respect of disaster-prone areas.
The big question, however, remains, when will the flood victims receive the relief they so desperately need? Irama Smith, TV3 News, Takoradi.
A development economist and a former executive director of Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC, Dr. Bishop Akologo, is advocating for an increase in the rate charged as royalties on mineral resources in Ghana. He proposes a 50% royalty rate, arguing that the current regime is nothing less to a rip-off for the economy.
Dr. Akologo posits that a revision in mineral royalties must commensurate the value of the country's mineral resources being exploited. For him, the current rate of 5% is woefully inadequate. He emphasizes that a number of risks within the sector have been deflated and thus warrant a considerable adjustment of the mineral royalties charged. Speaking at a sensitization workshop by the Media Foundation for West Africa on a guide for journalists on illicit financial flows, progressive taxation, reserve-based lending, and domestic resource mobilization reporting in Ghana, in Takoradi, he intimated that it would be advisable Ghana ceases mineral extraction than to take up a paltry 5% mineral royalties on revenues of mining corporations.
We've removed the risk over the years, so there's no reason why royalties should remain low. They should be raised in relation to the value of our ownership of the mineral. For me, royalty is not a tax. It is a number we put on the value of our minerals. And for me, that mineral is worth at least 50% of the required investment. So that's my argument. We need to raise them to reflect its value and to reflect the risk involved in its mining.
Dr. Akologo has charged government to develop a mechanism that will optimize revenue mobilization from the country's extractive sector.
There's no reason to continue to exploit under this existing fiscal regime. See, a low-tax mineral regime presumes that we are going to use the other benefits, which includes using it as a catalyst to transform the economy through the various linkages, backward, forward, research and development, and all of that. But we haven't been able to activate those levers. And we are just a lazy rent collector. And even the rent collection, we're not doing enough of it.
Abraham Mensah, TV3 News, Takoradi.
Authorities at the Second Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly are expressing concern over growing challenges in managing the region's only landfill site at Sofokrom. The Assembly is seeking 54 million euros from the C40 Cities Financial Facility to build a biodigester and recycling plant. Here's a report by Stephen Kujo.
The 68-acre site is the region's only landfill, serving as the final dumping point for waste from Shamar District, Ahanta West Municipality, and Ajene District. On the average, the Assembly spends 900,000 Ghana cedi each month to manage the site, putting a significant pressure on its finances.
One of our challenges has to do with our financial issues. This landfill was under a contract, but per the new change we have in the system, we are having issues managing the site financially. We don't have a permanent budget for it. The Assembly cannot alone manage this particular landfill site. We need the government to also come to our aid. Okay? We need nothing less than 900,000 every month. Yes, it's a capital-intensive project.
When it rains, a sanitation crisis looms as access roads to the site becomes impassable, leading to a surge in indiscriminate waste dumping.
So it is a challenge, not only access roads, collection from even the communities. When we get there, I think you saw our track down there. That is our only last track that the Assembly has. Now we have to follow another private service providers. We cannot even provide our 20% quota of waste management. We are actually struggling.
The site, however, provides economic opportunities. When I arrived at the site, a number of people were seen scrambling through the waste. Speaking off camera, they explained that they make a living by sorting and selling the waste. In a bid to reverse the trend, the Assembly is seeking a 54 million euro from C40 City Financial Facility to build a biodigester and a recycling plant. Mayor for STMA, Frederick Fedu, addressing a team from C40 City Financial Facility, revealed the intervention forms part of efforts in modernizing waste management and reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Methane and carbon dioxide releases from decomposing waste contribute significantly to the city's emission, estimated at 225,000 metric tons CO2 equivalent in 2024. DC's emphasized waste sector reforms to cut methane emissions. Proposed plants represent a holistic solution, combining anaerobic biodigestion for organic waste to produce biogas and compost, with recycling for plastics, metals, and other materials.
The funding is secured. The project could transform waste management in the region and create jobs for the teeming youth. Stephen Kujo, TV3, Sofokrum, on God.
The Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Ablajifat Gomashe, has commended chiefs and people of Agotime in the Volta region for holding onto the weaving of traditional Kente fabrics, which she describes as a global fabric. Speaking at the Grand Derby of this year's Kente Festival held at Agotime, Potoi, the minister reaffirmed government's commitment to protecting authentic Ghanaian culture and heritage, particularly intangible crafts.
The Ministry for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts was able to ratify the UNESCO conventions that looks at the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage and highlights the cultural and historical significance of hand-woven textiles. Kente, as we know it in Ava, Kente, as we know it in Akan, and the small, or Fugu, as we know it in the north, registered or listed on the World Heritage Site. So your work here in Agotime and that across the country, in Agbozuma, in Kliko, in Ablao, in Bonue, all of the work that you do is the reason why we were able to have Kente listed. And so you must take pride in what you're doing here and continue to get the young people involved in it. We must learn to pass on the heritage that we have come to meet so that posterity will find their source of livelihood and vocation.
Meanwhile, Paramount Chief of the Agotime Traditional Area, Nenenwe Keteku IV, appealed to government to help complete a community-initiated Kente village project to boost and sustain their crafts.
Kente weaving is a critical part of our sustenance and livelihood. The Kente village project, a center where our history, artifacts, and wisdom of our ancestors can be preserved and shared with the world. Regrettably, this project has stalled due to lack of funding and our own inability to speak with a unified voice. The Kente village will not only honor our past, but also educate our children, attract visitors interested in our heritage.
The Paramount Chief also used the occasion to urge government to address the acute water crisis affecting the Petre Township by connecting the affected areas to the 5 district water projects.
This lack of reliable water supply affects every household and poses a risk to the health of our people. We must find a rapid solution. We therefore appeal to your government to consider our plight and help connect our community to the Adidemo Water Project.
The annual Kente Festival, known in the local parlance as Agbamevoza, is celebrated by the people of Agotime, whose major preoccupation is the art of weaving Kente. The celebration is usually characterized with a display of beautifully woven Kente cloths and other pieces of fabrics designed using Kente. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News.
You're still watching Weekend Central here on TV3 with me, Godwin Atsideba. We have more stories on health right after this.
In uncertain times, it can be hard to imagine yourself completing the CIMA professional qualification. But with our new digital-first learning and assessment platform, you can. The CGMA Finance Leadership Programme, or FLP, gives you control over your study progress. The CGMA FLP is a remote-based, self-paced learning platform that lets you qualify from home with online assessments and
Welcome back. Let's do health stories now. Ghana's healthcare system has made significant progress in improving access to healthcare for its citizens. However, researchers at the Health Research Dissemination Forum have noted that emerging trends pose new challenges that require the integration of preventive care and screening of NCDs into the country's primary healthcare system rather than focusing on curative care.
Non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes and obesity are increasingly becoming a major public health concern in Ghana. And despite efforts to tackle these issues, Ghana's primary healthcare system still lags behind in integrating preventive care and screenings for diseases like cancers. According to researchers at a Health Research Dissemination Forum, a national platform which spotlights the ideas and innovations to shape the future of universal health coverage, finances remain a significant barrier to healthcare access. Implementing universal health coverage requires a system that can effectively address these challenges. While CHIPS compounds have resulted in improved access across the country, the quality of care remains a pressing issue.
If you go to other places, they have incorporated things like screening, breast cancer screening, cervical cancer screening, screening against prostate cancer and others into the primary healthcare system. So it's part of their insurance system. And that helps them to prevent most of these diseases. Our current challenge is to how to do it. So our populace are coming to the facility to be taken care of. Now the question is, when they come, what kind of quality of care do they get? So the issues now go beyond coverage to begin to talk about quality.
Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Caroline Reindorf, EMISA, assured of government's commitment to integrating the research recommendations to improve upon primary health care in the country.
Research has informed what we do or how we provide care to our people, and it continues to do that. If you want to put an intervention, sometimes you pilot, you research, find out what you need to do, and then now you can scale up. So initially, the primary health care concept did not consider, but with the preventive and promotive services, which is even ratified by the President's policy of free primary health care, that is where the focus will be.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end this afternoon. For more news updates, kindly log on to www.3news.com. And also don't forget to always stay interactive with us across all social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. My name is Godwin Asidwa. Glad you've made me part of your time this afternoon. I'll see you same time next week. Have a good day. Bye.